As usual, the Tampa Bay Rays are loaded with starting pitching. And if the old adage holds that pitching wins championships, is this the year the Rays finally return to the World Series? So even though the Red Sox won the American League East last year, the Tampa Bay Rays provided very tough opposition almost through the entire month of September before the Red Sox finally pulled through and won the division. But now, in 2014, it's a new season, and the question has to be asked, with the Rays' young pitching, especially in the starting rotation, being so good year in and year out, is this finally the year the Rays return to the World Series? And as I look at this team, I think the answer is very definitely a yes. You know, I don't think things are going to go as well and as right for the Red Sox as it went last year. Not everything can go perfectly 2 years in a row. And I think this is the year the Rays finally are able to break through and win the American League East because of their young pitching. If you look at the four starters at the top of their rotation, David Price, Alex Cobb, Matt Moore, and now Chris Archer, who's the latest find as a starting pitcher, the Rays have a foundation in place in that rotation to dominate in the American League with all those young arms. And that's even with Jeremy Hellickson with injury problems and having a disappointing season last year. He's still around and waiting in the wings, and if he's able to get healthy, that'll be even more of a boost for the Rays. But the key to the Rays beyond their pitching is their lineup, and two guys are going to have to carry this lineup if the Rays are going to fulfill their destiny this year, and that's Evan Longoria and Will Myers. They're in essence going to have to become a version of the old Bash brothers in Oakland, Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire, and they're going to have to carry the Rays with this lineup, and they're going to need contributions from guys like Ben Zobrist and Desmond Jennings, and James Loney at first base had a great year last year. He re-signed and returned to the Rays. He's a good defensive first baseman. I think he hit a little bit over his head last year. If the Rays are going to have success with their lineup, Loney is going to have to be as good as he was last year with very little drop-off. So yeah, there's a lot of questions about the Rays, but I think it's all going to come together because I think Longoria is looking at an MVP-type season. The key for him simply is he's got to stay healthy, because if he does, he's probably one of the top 5 players in baseball. And I think this is the year he's going to put the Rays on his shoulders even more so. And I think he's going to get help from Myers, who's a budding star despite his problems in the ALDS last year against the Red Sox. I think the Rays are going to have a great season this year. They're going to be very tough to beat in the American League East. And, you know, the Red Sox and Yankees will probably be right there with them for most of the season. But I think in the end, the Rays' rotation is what's going to make the difference. Those guys, those young guys, are just so good. Now, if there's one real area of concern with the Rays, I think it's their bullpen. Now, Grant Belfour is their new closer. He's a former Ray that's finally returned to the team. But I think he's better, you know, a big picture-wise than Fernando Rodney was. Rodney's a guy who was very good for the Rays, but can be very volatile. When he gets into games where he's not succeeding, he kind of blows up and really just can't get anybody out. I think Balfour will be more of a steadying influence in the closer role. It's just a matter of the guys falling in behind him if they can get their role straightened out and give the Rays a pretty good bullpen. And I don't think they're going to need a lot of use out of their bullpen this year, because I think most of their starters are going to be able to work into that 6th or 7th inning area. So that'll limit the appearances of the middle relievers. So when you add it all up with a dominating rotation and what I think is going to be an MVP-like performance from Longoria this year, with support mixed in here and there from guys that need to step up, like I said, Zobrist and Jennings and Loney and even David DeJesus, I think the Rays are set up for a strong season and possibly a return to the World Series for the first time since 2008. So for you guys out there, as you look at the Rays this season, what are your thoughts on their season coming up? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends about This Week in Red. Don't forget to check out my blog at BoSoxInjection.com and follow me on Twitter at ThisWeekinRed.